After news that the first females ever will graduate from the U.S. Army's Ranger School, another military branch may be following suit. The U.S. Navy is now considering the possibility of allowing women into the ranks of the Navy SEAL teams. The training is tough. There are 6 stages of it, each one harder than the other. It's designed to weed out the weak. The Navy calls it the most mentally challenging, physically demanding training in the world. It lasts 33 weeks. Some of the challenges include running more than 200 miles in 5 days and physically training for 20+ hours a day. Let's bring in our Pentagon correspondent, Barbara Starr, and also joining us from New York, Jonathan Gilliam. He's a former Navy SEAL. He trained as a U.S. Army Ranger as well, a former FBI special agent. Guys, thanks very much. Barbara, first of all to you, what prompted the U.S. Navy to even consider allowing women to become Navy SEALs?
Well, Wolf, what's been going on at the Pentagon for the last several months is a review of opening all combat jobs to women. Women who volunteer, obviously, to serve this country in the U.S. military. The feeling for some time, first set out by the former Defense Secretary Leon Panetta, was open up all the jobs, let the women compete, stop keeping that ceiling in place. So all of the services have been looking at this, and they have been steadily opening up more and more jobs in the military to women. But now we're at the point where it is special operations that they are looking at, as well as some of the frontline combat jobs. Can women serve in the Army Ranger Regiment? Can they serve in Navy SEALs? What is on the table right now are a series of recommendations that will go to the Defense Secretary by the end of the year about whether these jobs, all of these jobs, should be opened up to women. Wolf?
And Jonathan, as I mentioned, you went through Navy SEAL training, U.S. Army Ranger training. How tough really is it?
Well, I'll tell you, there's different levels on all this stuff, Wolf. Let's start with the Ranger School. You know, Barbara said something there a second ago about being in a Ranger battalion. I went through Army Ranger School. I did not go through Ranger Assessment and Selection Process, the RAS program. And what these females graduated from is a leadership school. Ranger School is a leadership program. Once you get into RASP, once you get into SEAL training, that's a huge difference. The level of technical abilities and really just the overall physical and stress level goes up tremendously. Now you take Ranger School, where I'm hearing from my sources at Ranger School, the 2 females that made it through, and I quote my sources, are beasts. These females are, you know, they're just amazing women. However, Ranger School doesn't even hold a cookie to what SEAL training is. And to be considered a Ranger, we need to look at RASP. So the reason I'm bringing all this up is that social engineering in warfighting needs to be left out. There's always going to be politics in fighting wars, but creating a warrior should be void of politics, and we should look at what's effective for each gender and each team.
Well, let me ask you this question, Jonathan. If women can be Army Rangers, do you believe women potentially can be Navy SEALs?
I don't know. You know, you can train anybody with the skill sets that we have, how to shoot, how to enter rooms, blow things up. But it's the process to get to that point to specifically know if the person on your left and the person on your right will quit or won't quit, and if something happens to you, can they carry you out of the battlefield? I mean, we're creating warriors, Wolf, and this is the thing that is infuriating to me. I'm sick and tired of DOD officials, these admirals and generals at the top, making political statements instead of sticking to their guns, so to speak, and saying we need to do what's effective. I would much rather see individual teams set up for females, training set up for females, so that we can develop a well-rounded, suited warrior that's a female to their standards. There's different physical standards. There's just 2 women out of all the people who went through Ranger School. Economically alone, that's not feasible to make all the adjustments to get them into these teams.
Barbara, when is the Navy going to make a decision?
Well, I have to tell you, there's a multi-part effort here. The Navy may say, let's have women in SEAL units, but it is going to largely be up to the recommendations of the Special Operations Command, led by General Joseph Votel, the chief of all special operations. And I want to underscore one of the things Jonathan's talking about. When you speak to special operations officials, what they will tell you is they are looking at the notion there must be a uniform standard standard, that if you are going to put women into these units, you cannot have lesser standards for women to join the units, lesser physical training standards, lesser performance standards in the field under fire. You know, everybody's got to basically pull their own weight, carry their own rucksack. So there's a lot to look at here. Right now, we don't see a final decision till the end of the year.
All right, we'll stay on top of this story, important story for our viewers. Barbara, Jonathan, guys, thanks very